Hey there, small business rock stars. This week, we're back and we're going to dive into something that could be a turning point in your business if you let it, right? So we have to believe it's possible, say, instead of saying, oh, this won't work or I don't need this. Maybe we got to start with saying, what if I tried? What would happen, right? And it's not a sales funnel, it's not an ad strategy, it's not a thing. It's actually way more important than any of those things, honestly. It is your business plan.
Okay, so don't hit the skip button because this isn't the stuff you think about like the corporate style plan. This is your vision coming to life. It's clear, it's simple, and designed for you to help your business work.
Yeah. And it's built to actually fit you and your uniqueness, not what somebody else
Mhm.
has done. All right. So, anyhow, we're going to dive into this. I'm really excited about this. You guys know this is a passion area of mine. Got some really cool stuff coming up on this in general that we'll talk about at the end. But let's all just take a deep breath here. Deep breath. Kylie, you just got done doing yoga, but,
Yeah.
just let's reground, recenter. This week's
Mhm.
is going to be on the art of business planning. So, are you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Dark days, overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through, we rise above. No more feeling stuck, we're fueled by love. Our small business is shining, reaching new heights. With the support of our success group, we're taking flight. The power is strong, the vision so clear. Building our dreams with no more fear. Together we're resilient, unstoppable force. With our success group.
Let's talk some business.
All right. Well, Kylene, this is going to be fun and exciting, at least for me. I know some people go, what? You're talking about business planning, Aaron. How is this fun and exciting? But it is. It really is. It's the process of bringing your vision to life and creating the business that you want, not what you think it should be, not what other people force upon you. Like, we don't get into being business owners to get another low paying job that takes away every single hour of every single day. But if we don't have a business plan, that's what it turns into. So, as we start this off, Kylie, I want to talk about the plant phase. When we talk about the plant section in the book here, the fundamentals of business success, it's about really kind of understanding, getting into that depth of why it matters, how we get our mindset right, all that kind of fun stuff. And I guess to start us off here, Kylene, let's be honest, right? Both of us as well, but most business owners in general skip the business plan. Do you believe that to be true?
100% I do. Yeah. Yeah,
What,
because
what
you get so excited about doing the stuff that you forget sometimes to go back and because of the stigma that's associated with it.
yeah, yeah, things like I'm just too busy to sit down and plan, right?
Mhm.
I've used that. I'm imagining you have. I know other people that we work with, the Masters of Success in our success group, have said that, right? I just don't have time for that. Everything's so chaotic and crazy. And the reality is, everything's so chaotic and crazy because you haven't stopped and been intentional and sit down to actually plan out what's going to make this a business that is something you love to do each day, not something that's chaos and craziness and all sorts of fires that you're putting out all the time. So that's one of them.
Yeah.
Um, what's another one that maybe
Well,
you've heard or used?
I don't know what to put in it. I don't know where to start.
Yeah,
I've never done this before.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
no.
yeah. And that, I mean, obviously, if we don't know what to do, it's hard to get started, right? But
No.
here's the thing, you guys, I'm going to let everybody off the hook. Everybody that's worried about, I'm going to get it wrong, or I don't know what to put in it. First and foremost, I think part of the problem is we see so many different, here's a business plan template. You got to have this in it. This is the way it has to be. You should do this. I should do this. I should. The reality is the business plan that works for you is the one that you're going to use. So what should be in it? What you need to design a business of your dreams. Now, we're going to share some core content that we believe will help you kind of build that foundation. But the reality is you could have a whole bunch of different things in there that we're not even going to talk about today or in our masterclass coming up. And that's 100% right. Or you could have things that or you could skip some of those things, and that's also 100% right. So if you'll let go of that, and I'm going to make some people mad, if you'll let go of that excuse of I don't know what to put in it and just start designing your business plan, you're doing it right. All right. So what's another one that you've maybe heard?
Well, I don't have investors, so I don't need it. I'm just trying to survive today type of mindset.
Yeah. And you kind of alluded to it earlier that business planning does have this stigma around it, right? It's only for the big guys. That, I'm not going to try to get a venture capital company to back me. I'm not going to a bank. In fact, banks don't even really do that anymore. I mean, yes, a little bit. And what they want to see. So the idea of what a bank wants to see has nothing to do with what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
A bank wants to see, okay, is there a good enough plan here that I feel reasonably confident that we're going to get our money back?
Yeah.
Right. What we're talking about is how do you design a business that fits who you are, your personality, your strengths, your values, your passions, so that you can operate in that zone of greatness every day. Right. Because when we're trying to be all things to everyone, when we're trying to do everything that everybody else is doing, well, they're doing that because that's what they're good at, right? You might not be that person. And so we try to do all these things that we are seeing from other people as like a prescription, but we need to be inspired and say, oh, how can I do a little bit more that fits me? So, because without a plan, and you guys can tell I'm already almost frothing at the mouth here. I'm so excited about this, but your business will start to drift. You're going to say yes to everything. You're going to build for other people instead of yourself. Yeah. And, here's the thing that like why I'm so passionate about this. I've spent 25 years in the garment decorating industry, and I've been on all different sides of the table, so to speak. And I've sold equipment to people, and I've seen people put their heart and soul into things. I mean, I've met some of the most amazing people in my life I've met through this industry, and they work their tails off and they wake up and go, I don't want to do this because I have to sleep at the office. I'm doing all this stuff with all these customers I don't even like, right? Like it's just a sad thing to see. And so I kind of had that wake up call. I think I got smacked upside the head by God back in 2018 when he sent me to the emergency room, and he said, hey, you're chasing the wrong thing. You need to be helping people fall deeper in love with what they get to do. Right now, it wasn't as clear as that then. It's taken me some years to figure that out, but that's the whole part of it. Right. At that point, I started planning. I started thinking about what that could look like. And so I guess the big thing, Kylene, is maybe some people that are listening to this right now or watching it later, maybe they see their business heading in that direction. Right. And so I guess what I'd encourage people, if anybody's in here live, I see that Doug's here. Hello, Doug. Thanks for tuning in. Tell us, what is your dream business? And not just, I want to make a bunch of money. Like, give me specifics. Like, what does that mean? Like, Kylene, what is your dream business specifically?
Yeah. Specifically, it's to have a wellness foundation where I can share my gifts of yoga and mindset with people so we can transform that negative energy and really let them thrive with positive energy and joy and all the other things.
Yeah. And so when we're getting, absolutely. And when we're getting into creating a business plan or a strategic plan or whatever you want to call it, there's another thing. It doesn't have to be called a business plan. Is now let's define that specifically, right? Like that's a great general overview and you can kind of visualize that a little bit. But like, what does that look like? What are you doing specifically? And how does every single day of your business look, right? And yeah, I know they're not all going to be the same, but like if you were to able to take yourself out of this current world, drop yourself down in utopia, and you're using your gifts the way that you believe that you're supposed to be using your gifts, what are the details of that?
Yeah.
So, I guess, Kylene, help me fill in this blank here. A
Okay.
business plan isn't just a document. What is it?
It's a mirror. It really is a reflection of you and what you are meant to do here on this earth. We all have different gifts, and it really is a mirror and a reflection. It helps you, just to kind of project exactly what you're meant to be doing, and gives you that clarity.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's also a really great opportunity for us to pause, right? We talked about earlier this idea that we're so busy, I don't have time for this. Right? Yeah, we're all busy. Like that's just reality. I was looking at my calendar for next week, and I did it to myself, right? So it's not like it's like out of norm, but it's insanity. But there were cool opportunities, so I took them, right? But I still have to make time to pause and to clear the deck, so to speak, and say, hold on a second, is this what I want to build? And in the 5 years of building our success group, I've had lots of times where I've just kind of blown up everything because I got to that point. I asked myself that question. I was looking at my business plan and I said, is this what I want to build? And I kind of came to the realization that it was no, right? Like there was some cool stuff going on, but I wasn't seeing any transformation. Right. And I wasn't seeing people being able to fall deeper in love with what they get to do. I was focusing on the wrong things. Right. I wanted to sell more this, that, or the other thing training. And that's not who I am. Right. My mission is to help people fall deeper in love with their business. So I had to go, oh, well, what is actually moving the needle for people? And I realized it was the Masters of Success. It was the mastermind programs. It was that community that we were building. And is that an easy way to make a living with our success group? No, not at all. It's a big investment of time and money for people. But the reality is that's where I am most fulfilled. So I had to kind of clear the decks and say, is this what I want to build? And here's the other part of it, Kylene, is, and I already mentioned this, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. There's no should be this or has to be this. This is a living, breathing, blow it up whenever you want, adjust it, change it, update it, add to it constantly. These types of things, this kind of art of planning is going to save you time because you're adjusting, you're tweaking instead of always recreating the wheel, right? Like I talked about the fact that I've blown up kind of what the idea was several times already in 5 years. But the reality was I didn't have to start from scratch. I was heading down a direction and I realized I'd made a turn that wasn't right. And so I just had to kind of get back on track. And so it wasn't like I went forward and then I had to go back and start at square one again. I went forward, got a little bit off track, and then just had to come back onto track. And so I'm making adjustments, right? So talk about that a little bit, Kylene.
Yeah, I think what a blessing it was. And I'm so glad that you're sharing that story because it really does show the importance of having that time to pause and reflect and that intentional time to look at, is my business in the direction that feels right for me? Is it moving in that direction? Am I doing the things that make me happy and so I can fall deeper in love? And you're a prime example of showing that this does work, and it does change and evolve over time. And if you don't take that time, you're going to be building the wrong kind of business, and then you're not going to be connected to it. And therefore, you're going to invest all this time and energy in something that isn't fulfilling. And that's what we're all about. We want you to find that fulfillment, use your gifts, and shine that way.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So again, that's the real passion area for me. Like I go to these seminars, and I have, 50, 100 people in the room or whatever. And a lot of times, I ask a couple different questions. A, who knows how much it costs you to be in business?
Yeah.
B, who has a business plan? And any guesses as to what kind of percentage would typically say yes to that, Kylene?
probably less than 10%.
Yeah. Yeah. Depending on what show it is, right? Some of the bigger
Yeah.
shows, you're going to get closer to 25%. Some of the newer startup folks, it's definitely lower. And I get it, right? When you're starting up, again, you don't even know what you don't know yet. But the
Mhm.
reality is, the sooner you get to it, the better off you're going to be, because
Mhm.
you'll be able to then have a foundation to build from. Again, you're not going to have to keep going back to square one and starting over again. You get to have a foundation, like my story, right? Get a little off track because you lost sight of what was really important. Have that aha moment, come back to center, right? And um, you know, the cool part is it doesn't have to it doesn't look anything like what it started, but the same theme through line is still there,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Yep.
I'm wearing the American Print and Supply hat, right? So I've added that to the mix because I realized I needed to meet people where they were at, right? People want to buy the shiny objects. They don't want to plan their business, right? That's not fun, right? Not many people get as excited about it as I do. So, right, it's just an adjustment, and
Mhm.
it's that's why I get so passionate about it, Kylene.
Yeah.
I really believe that if people will take a little bit of time, 15% of your business time to work on your business, and a business plan is a great tool to have as a foundation and to use to work on our business. So,
Mhm.
any other thoughts on the plant section, the why it matters section, before we dive into the prepare and start talking about what might go into this?
No, I mean, I think it was explained really well why it's important. I think it's just you have that foundation and that connection to your reason, and then that's what carries you through and allows you to adjust and adapt and grow as you move forward.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's why you need the document.
absolutely. All right. Well, let's again going back to the book here. We're talking about the prepare phase, which is kind of the next phase. We got our mindset right. We understand why. We've got a little bit deeper than just the surface level stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the prepare, meaning
Yeah.
what goes into it, right? And
Mhm.
again, I want to be really clear that this is just inspirational, right? Like, if you were to come to me and say, I've got a business plan and it doesn't include these 5 things that you're sharing, Aaron, I'm not going to go, oh, well, you're going to fail. It's not going to work. I'm going to go, oh, okay. Huh. Great. Have you thought about this? Oh, you did? Okay, cool. Well, whatever. Then if it works for you, it works for you. Right. So we want you to be inspired by these ideas, not saying this is what it has to be. Right.
Yeah.
But going back to those folks who are like, I don't know where to start. Okay. Here's where to start. Right.
Hmm.
And see if it works for you.
Yeah.
So here's the 5 pieces that Kylene and I believe that every small business owner should at least think about. Right. Do you need to document all of it? I would say yes for a lot of folks. You can talk me out of it. Okay, how about that? So, how do you want to go through this, Kylie? You want me to just share? You want to share what they are, and then I can talk about them? What's
Yeah, I can share what they are, and then you go ahead
okay?
and dive a little bit deeper.
Okay.
So, like the first area, obviously, you want to have your goals.
Yep.
Where are you headed?
Yep. Yep. And let me kind of back up just a hair though before we get
Mhm.
too much deeper into goals too. One thing I wasn't clear enough on. We talked about the why at the beginning,
Mhm.
right? Why it matters. But there's also a big chunk of like, remember what I said where realized I was off track, and how I realized I was off track is I went back to my reason, my why.
Yeah.
um, I'm put on this earth to help people fall deeper in love with what they get to do each day. And I realized I wasn't doing that. And so I was able to come back. And so that reason is kind of the linchpin, right? That's the one area that I will probably say you should, right? That might be the one prescription that I offer. Now, again, everybody calls it something a little bit different, so it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. It could be your why, your mission statement, all that. Just what's your North Star, right? And from that, then what you said here, the goals. And so let's talk about the goals here a little bit real quick,
Mhm.
because like, give me a general goal, Kylene. You're good at general.
I want to make $100,000 this year with my business.
Okay, I want to make $100,000. People go, oh, that's pretty specific. It's $100,000. You said this year. That's not bad. The reality that I have seen in a lot of cases is that money that I just want to make more money thing is a byproduct of the actual goal, right? Because here's what I've seen to be true is there are easier ways to make money than starting a small business.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, guys, there are easier ways. You can go get a job, clock in, clock out if you have that mentality, and make money and let somebody else worry about all the rest of the stuff. Right now, you got to live by their rules. They're going to pay you just enough to keep you there. Right. Like, you're probably not going to ever, if you're smart and invest and stuff like that, I'm sure you can grow. But the reality is there are easier ways to make money. So when we start talking about goals, we really need to get to the depth of why this business. Why are you taking on this role of being a business owner, and what's the goal, right? So, okay, I want to make $100,000 this year so I can provide for my family on my own terms, i.e., I've got kids that I want to go to their sporting events, et cetera, and I got to figure out the balance of that, right? Because it's all great and gravy to say, oh, I'm a small business owner, I can set my own schedule. And that's 100% true. But you're also a small business owner, and so you're responsible for all the rest of it. So when you're off doing all those other things that aren't related to your business will suffer. And then you're going to go, well, why am I not successful? Well, you didn't find that balance, right? And I'm not saying you need to work 24/7. You don't need to be a workaholic. I'm saying you have to give your business as much attention as you give the other things in your life if you want it to grow. Right. And so you have to find that balance. Right. And so that's where the goals come into play, because now I can say, okay, well, how many clients do I need to get? How many new customers do I need to get? Or what products do I need to launch this year? What would make me proud in 3 months? Right. What would I have accomplished? And once you start getting into the specifics, like I said, then the $100,000 in a year, affect this many people. A lot of these things are actually byproducts of your real goal, right? The real deep reason for starting the business. So that's the first one. Kyle, any other thoughts on goals?
No, just how important it is to be specific and to dig a little bit deeper when you're doing it.
Yeah. All right. What's number 2?
The relationships.
Yeah. And what does that mean to you before I dive in here?
These are anyone involved in your business. It could be your customers. It could be your partners who you get your supplies from. It could be your community. Whoever is involved in your business, it's nurturing those relationships, or creating those relationships to have that support if you're a solo entrepreneur.
For sure. So remind me, is success a solo endeavor? Like you just got to grab your bootstraps and lock yourself in a closet and go hard?
I think it's the opposite. It is a team sport for sure.
All right. Yeah. And I think that's why sometimes, again, people think about the relationships and they go, well, I'm a solopreneur, right? I'm doing this on my own. I don't have any relationships. Well, Kylene just listed off several. You're going to have mentors. You're going to have people supporting you. You're going to have collaborators. You're going to, all of these people that come into your world, your vendors, like you said, even your customers, like who do you want to be working with, things like that. These are all really important. I tell this story often, so I'm sure you guys have heard it, but I think my Terry Combs is coming on. I think I'm going to end up with like 8 to 10 stories that I just retell over and over again. And people
I'm
will
going to be able to share them now here soon.
Yeah. Well, the goal is, though, if I want to really be like Terry Combs, is I share the same 8 stories and people still show up to hear them. Like I've heard every single one of them in every iteration, and I still love it every time he tells a story. So anyways, but the story I've told, when I was much younger, probably about our son's age, in the 13, 14-year-old range, my dad said to me one time, he was in a frustrated moment after dealing with some of his employees and stuff like that. He said to me, business would be fun if it wasn't for those darn employees and customers. And I was like, oh my goodness. But yet I still ended up being an entrepreneur. I don't know how, but that is the reality of it, man. The relationships are so important. And those relationships with people that work with you, those relationships with the people that are purchasing from you, those relationships with the collaborators, your vendors, and stuff like that. So if we take some time to really define, like, I want good employees. Great. What the heck does that mean? Right? Like, what's a
Yeah.
good employee, Kylene?
Yeah.
It could be totally different to you versus me. Like, what's a good employee to you?
Someone who does what they say they're going to do. They do quality work, and they're kind and positive and growth minded.
Yeah. Which, all awesome. So many different shades to all of those things, right? What's quality work mean? Gets it right most of the time? Gets it right every time? What's quality to you versus what's quality to them? So those kinds of details. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you've heard this from me before, Kylene. What's our recommendation for a best way to kind of kick this relationship thing off, so you have a really good foundation to work from? Do you remember this part?
Well, no, I don't really remember the why questions. Keep asking why to get more clarity.
Okay. I probably didn't lead you well enough there. No, so one of the biggest challenges with defining on the relationships is we typically look for the people we need when we're in desperation, right? And so to define our relationships, my recommendation typically is to start with my own role in the business, right? When my company is at its peak idea of success, do I want to be wearing all the hats still, right? Do I want to be doing everything, or what is my zone of greatness, right? What am I going to be responsible for inside of the business? And that may be the overall big picture. But when we know that, when we're very clear, and again, getting down to the specifics, like I was kind of picking on Kylene with there a little bit when it comes to quality work, like, what are the specifics of what you're trying to accomplish for yourself? Because then you're the constant, right? Your business is only going to be there as long as you are. Right? Yep. And so when you have your role set and that constant is set, now you can fill in the holes around you. All right. So does that make sense?
Yeah. So almost writing your own position description.
Yeah, writing your own job description, 100%. Yep. So when you think about that, right? Think about things like, what types of people drain your energy, or what types of people fill you up, right? So you had mentioned in your ideal description of an employee, that they had positive energy, right? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, what is positive energy? How do they show up with positive energy? If there's somebody that is just all the time, chaotic, that's right. But if there's somebody that's calm and peaceful and always looking for the good and always looking for solutions, that's way different. But yet both could be construed as positive energy, right? And
good example.
Yeah. And then even getting into the types of clients that light you up and things like that, right? We'll talk a little bit more about our customers here in the next section, but that is part of it. Those are the relationships. So again, if we can do some building of the specifics of what the ideal relationships are going to be, then you'll know when it's time to hire. Then you'll know who you're looking for. And so you can start looking for them before you're in desperation mode. Like, I can't even keep my head above water. I just need any old lifeline. Right. And then you end up with a relationship that maybe doesn't fit and a bad experience. Right. All right. So that's number 2. Anything else on relationships?
No, I think you did a good job.
All right. I'm not trying to pick on you. Just these are the really good things that.
Yeah.
Here's what I love about talking with Kylene about this stuff is Kylene has this great mindset about it, and it always has that positive energy. And I think this is where a lot of people will also be challenged, is we've got to get into the specifics. Kylene's career has taken her to a place where it's almost not impossible, but very difficult for her to get to specifics, because she's been required to be very general her entire adult life. Right. So I think it's a great example of how we can look at things a little bit differently. So I just want everybody to realize.
But it gets you in trouble when you start a business and you're not clear and you don't have these things in place.
Yeah.
Because you say yes to everything and it's not the right things.
Yeah, for sure. And so anyhow, I just want you guys to know I'm not picking on Kylene. I love her to death, and just, I just want you guys to see this is the kind of back and forth
Well,
that we've got to have internally too. Kylene and I are kind of living it out externally, but I have these same back and forth questions in my own head, right? Of me, right? I've got my inner Kylene and my inner crazy Aaron, right? So, all right. Well, what's number 3, Kylene?
okay, this is your marketing groundwork.
Yeah.
And I
And
think this is an important one to
yeah,
kind of break down.
yeah, yeah. So when you hear the word marketing, what things typically come to mind for you?
Advertising, things like that. How are you sharing your business?
Yeah, like your social media posts.
Yep, things like that.
Are you doing any good fact campaigns lately?
What?
No?
No.
Okay. All right. So is that what marketing groundwork is?
No.
Okay. All right. Good. I
No.
want just testing, making
You're
sure that you
testing
are
me.
paying
Okay.
attention
Yeah.
a little bit. No, this is fun. Thank you for allowing me to have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we all think. I'm the same way, right? We think of marketing and immediately our brains go to the tactics, the strategies, the how do I post more on social media? What's my post going to look like? Should I do email or text or blah blah blah? And the reality is the answer to those things could be yes and could be no, and it could be completely different for each person. You put them in a nearly identical situation, and one person the answer might be a yes and the other person the answer might be a no because they're completely unique. But if we don't define the groundwork and what makes them completely unique, then we'll never be able to answer those strategy questions. So we have to forget the trends, the marketing speak, and we have to start looking a little bit more deeply at the groundwork. That's why we hear marketing and we stop, but the groundwork is the real important part here. So the groundwork is just 3 simple things. It's who you are, what makes you unique, what's your kind of unique selling proposition, your values, it's your brand, right? And so whatever those words are that you want to use, we need to clearly define what makes you unique, right? Are you more playful and fun? Are you more serious and professional, right? Do you, whatever, what's your thing and what's important to you, right? So Kylene, what's your thing? What's important to you? What's your brand? What do people say
Encouraging,
about you?
encouraging
Yeah. What
that
do
I'm
people,
calm.
yeah. Like I could just listen to Kylene all day. It calms me down. See, this is the crazy part, you guys. I get to listen to Kylene all day. So just imagine if Kylene was not in my ear all day, how not calm I would be. Like I literally think
Watch out,
my
Ron.
heart would explode if Kylene stopped talking to me. So,
I don't think Aaron would sleep ever.
no, not at all. Anyways,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's your brand, right? Like I literally have had people say to me, "Oh my gosh, I love listening to Kylene. I just feel so calm afterwards." Right, and so that's her value. That's what she's going to bring to the table. If you want a hype person that's going to be the loud rah rah cheerleader, Kylene's not your
It's
person.
not me.
No, no. Now, it might be me, right? And that's why we make a good pair. But the reality is we have to be clear on what that is because, Kylene, if you didn't know that, if you weren't specific about that, and somebody came to you with this great opportunity for you to be the rah rah cheerleader, what's going to happen? You're
It's
going to
not
say,
going to be a good success.
you're probably going to say yes, right?
I would say yes if I wasn't clear.
Yeah.
And then I'd do it and I wouldn't succeed. And then I'd have to go through the whole build yourself back up thing. It's just not the right fit. It's not fulfilling. It's not in line with who I am as a person.
Yep. Yep. So that's first part of it. Second part of it is who are the ideal customers, right? Who are the people that you love working with, right? Like you don't have to give specific names, but there are types of people that fill you up, right, Kylene? You could spend all day with them, talk to them forever. They fill you up. You love working with them, right? What are those types of people?
Yeah, the people who are looking for solutions. They're growth minded. They want to feel more positivity in their life. They're going through a transformation and they're looking for solutions, and they're willing to to make the changes to do that. It's that growth minded, positive, not the world is falling on me constantly,
Yeah.
type of mindset. They may start there, but they're open to growing and learning.
Exactly. But if you didn't have that clarity, then you might be going, oh, I'm trying to fix people, right? And you're going to find all the people that just want to live in the pity party all day, right? Like I was there, and I am so willing and open for those folks when they're ready. But I'm not going to spend any of my effort marketing to them because it's not going to do any good until I can't change their mind until they're ready to, right? Same for you. You can't change their mind until they're ready to. So you have to really get clear on who do you love working with? And then what is that problem that you solve for them? So you kind of define your values, define who your ideal customer is, and then how you serve them. And then, so there's just 3 legs to this groundwork. The third leg is then what products and services meet those 2 things in the middle, right? Like, okay, you could be doing this, but if that's outside of your value proposition and your brand, then probably not the right idea. You're, like you said, you're going to probably not have a lot of success with that. You might at the get-go have a little success, but you will self-sabotage it over time, right? Or you could say, I've got this great service idea, but your ideal customers don't want it. Okay, same thing, right? So you have to find what fits who you are and then what your ideal customers desire. And that's your products and services. So you got your value, your ideal customers, and your products and services. And that's the marketing groundwork, right? And so just having some clarity on that, spending a little time working through that and documenting that will be huge when it comes time to say, okay, Kylene, go on TikTok. Well, wait a second. On TikTok are all the people that want to be wild and crazy and jump up and down and shout and yell. So why would you be on TikTok? Right? Are you going to have a lot of success over there? Probably not. Right? But showing up at a local calm yoga studio or speaking in front of people that are growth minded, little different, like now I can figure out what strategies are going to work for me and I lean into those things, right? You can figure out what strategies are going to work for you and lean into those things. All right. So that's number 3. Let's see if we can get through the rest of them here. I know I will go on forever otherwise. So keep me going here.
Number 4, numbers game.
Okay. What is you can actually answer this. I think you got it. What are the 3 most important numbers that we need to look at that we could be looking at in our business to make our lives easier?
Yeah. Well, what does it cost you to be in business?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So, how much time does it take you to do something?
Yep.
And then what's your strategy for pricing?
There you go. It's right in the notes, Kylene. So you got it.
But I was trying to use my own memory too.
Oh, okay. All right. You just went out of order.
It's like real life. This is like, I have the answers, but.
I love it. Just got to believe in yourself, Kylene. You have the answers, right? So just real quick to touch on those things that you nailed it. How much does it cost you to be in business? I mentioned that at the top, that not many people know that. And that's okay. If you're an accountant, plug your ears right now. The number does not have to be exactly right. This is not a profit and loss, checks and balances situation. This is how much about does it cost you to be in business? So that way you can plan accordingly. Like, because if it costs you, I'm just going to, this number means nothing specifically to any particular business. So if your number is nowhere close to this, don't think that, oh my gosh, Aaron said it should be $1,000 a month. If your cost is $1,000 a month, and yet your business is only designed to make $500 a month, how long can you keep that up? But if you don't know if your costs are $1,000 a month and your business is only designed to make $500 a month, you will keep it up a lot longer because you don't know any better. And therefore, you will end up in a massive amount of debt, deep in a hole. And that's the part that I'm trying to get people away from, right? Like, if you want to make a ton of money, let's do it, right? But I just want you to be able to be successful with this and love what you get to do. But if you don't know what that base number is, it's going to be really hard to design the business that you need, right? So let's say your number is $5,000 a month, and you legitimately are not sure how you can do any more than $2,500 a month, well, what are your choices there? Right? You either got to somehow, some way, figure out how to make more consistent income from your business, or don't buy another piece of equipment. Don't add another lease payment. Let's get rid of a machine, or let's reduce our overhead somehow. What if we've got an excessive amount of overhead? And I'm not saying $5,000 a month is an excessive amount of overhead. I know some very successful companies that spend way more than that, right? But they know how to bring in more than that. So you got to find that balance, and then that speaks to the second thing, which you said is the third thing. But your pricing strategy, those two things fit together very nicely, because what is the best way to make more money, Kylene? There's three levers. I don't know if you remember this. This is kind of like Kylene's test to see if she's read the Fundamentals of Business Success book.
I have. Well, you could sell more. You could increase your prices. And there's three.
Yep. Reduce
Or
your
you could reduce your expenses.
Yep. So those are the three. Most people go to trying to reduce their expenses first. And my suggestion is that, to me, might be a mistake. And here's why. Sometimes when we reduce our expenses, we're actually spending more money because we're getting cheaper stuff that costs us more time and energy and failures and et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes we need to invest more to gain more, right? And so reducing expenses is the last one. Selling more would be great, right? But if you could just snap your fingers and sell more, you'd be doing it already, right? Selling more means you've got to tell more people. You've got to share your business with more people, right? I kind of sometimes just tease Kylene a little bit and talk about Rise, Shine, Smile being super secret. Only certain people know. If you're not on her messenger list, you probably haven't heard of it. But, and again, just teasing her. I'm trying to poke her a little bit, see if we can turn up the volume some. She's a busy lady. She does work a day job too, and helps a lot of people and our family. So it's all in good fun, you guys. So again, if you could sell more, you probably would, right? And so the easiest way to make more money is to raise your prices. Like you're already selling it. People are already there. Now, if you went crazy and raised your prices, you may lose some customers. But if you raise your prices by 5-10%, you're going to probably lose the bottom 5-10% of your customer base. And those are the bottom 5-10% that you want to lose, because they are causing you the most headaches. They're the PITAs. Mm-hmm. Do you know what PITA stands for, Kylene?
Yeah.
Pain in the
ass.
Oh boy. Yeah. We try not to say those things, Kylene.
Wow, Aaron. Set me up like that. I'm just kidding.
I set you up. And when we get rid of those PITA customers, that actually opens up space for us to bring in more customers that are willing to pay the price that you need. So if you know your numbers, then you can have a pricing strategy that works for you. And then finally, where does your time go? Right? I've only got 24 hours in the day. Kylene, do you have more?
Nope. Just nope. 24.
24. And you do like to sleep, right?
A little bit.
A little bit. Kylene's a napper. So that's kind of a contentious thing in our house. It's just, I think I am contentious about it because I'm not a napper and I'd like to be. Like if I take a nap, I'm done. Like shut it down. Hours and hours go by. I could probably sleep for 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 hours if I took a nap. Kylene,
and I'm the opposite. Power naps. Yeah. And then I can keep going. Otherwise, I'm kind of worthless.
Yeah. So you got to get it. Anyhow. All right. Sorry. We're way off track again. That's my fault. So where does your time go? Again, getting clear about that. How are you going to best invest your time in your business, right? Like Kylene, you have a day job. So how much time do you have to put towards your business each week?
Yeah. Everything minus the 50 hours with drive time.
50 plus hours. And then the time that you're thinking about the day job. And then, you're going to eat, you're going to sleep, you're going to spend time with your family,
teach yoga. Yeah.
Teach yoga.
So I have to have the time to work on it.
So by the time you realize how much time you've got left, and if you just sat and scrolled social media for a bit, now you've got even less time, right?
Yeah.
So we got to figure out a way to be intentional with the time that we have. Okay. So that's number 4. Ready for number 5?
Yep. Okay, so number 5 is your systems, and this is really important to avoid burnout. This is what keeps you going.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, this is what a business really is. A hobby is you just doing whatever shows up and having fun with it, right? We can still have fun with our business, but the only way that we can maximize the time that we have and increase our profitability is by systematizing any of the working in parts of our business, right? So, Kylene, you teach yoga, but you also need to get people to sign up, right?
Yep.
You also need to do social media. What other things are, things that are part of working in your business?
Creating your sequences and, sharing, setting up.
Okay. So if you just kind of like do it random whenever, right? But if you have, like you said, setting up your sequences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you first get started, right? Like I remember your process.
Yeah.
When you first got started, there were notes everywhere, post-it notes, all sorts of different things. You were spending hours and hours and hours setting up a sequence for a 30-minute yoga session, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you wanted to do it well. And now how long does it take you?
About 20 minutes I can, because I have my, you over time, you perfect those sequences and then you can just pair different ones together.
Yep. And so now you've built a system, right? It might not be a documented system in this scenario, but let's say you had yoga instructors working for you. What would be the how-to of building a sequence that would match what Rise, Shine, Smile Yoga wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, your business might not be there yet. Your business might be more helped by systematizing your marketing, your reach outs.
Yeah.
Right? Like that could be something, right? Like, so whatever it is that maybe is a big bottleneck in your business currently, or doesn't have to be the biggest, but what's something that you are doing all the time that is just kind of like, how, do you ever want to take a vacation? Do you want to be, right? Like if your business doesn't have those systems, then your business is just going to stop, and then you've got to get it going again, right? Like, Kylene, you have these scenarios.
Yeah.
Away on vacation, didn't have yoga classes. Is it a big Herculean effort to start reaching out to people again after they haven't heard from you for a while? Right? You're back to square one, right?
Yeah.
But if you had a system in place to where, there's people on an email list, you've got a system, your social media scheduled, things like that. And I'm not saying we have to have it all exactly right, but we have to stop and think about it and then be willing to take some action to start building a system. Like I typically share that each year we should probably try to improve 1 to 3 systems in our business a year. And when I talk about systems, I'm talking about like big systems.
Mm-hmm.
We should always be improving, but like really say, okay, in 2026, these things are going to be accomplished and I'm going to have these systems in place. Right. So anything you could template, anything that maybe you could delegate, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that, what are your thoughts there on the systems?
Well, I think it's really important, like the automation part too. You help me get the setup when someone signs up for a yoga class. They automatically get that email sent to them and has all the instructions, so I'm not having to repeat that with everyone. They have it. They have the addresses, where the event will take place.
Yep.
And
here's how you take that a step further, though. In your business plan, you have a systems section for automation, because it's one thing to set up, okay, you map it out, here's the steps, but I've got to make an email that goes out. Okay, well, copy that email in there so that way when things change or you need to add another thing, you're not recreating the wheel. You're just saying, okay, I'm going to adjust this email and make it work for this program or this sale or this thing, right? So if I keep all that in one place in a business plan document, then I don't have to, again, recreate the wheel every time.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So that's the prepare phase, right? That's the fundamental formula. The middle 5 things are what we just talked about. So you can read in the book and get a whole lot more. And it's just about building an intention business, not something that you just accidentally happens. And I mentioned this at the beginning, but there are way more things that could go into a business plan,
Mm-hmm.
and you might potentially need those things in your business plan today or somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
But just the simple fact that just watching this and thinking about these things that we've talked about for your business, these 5 foundational pieces, it's going to put you miles and miles ahead of most other small businesses, right? And so I believe that these 5 foundations are the building blocks for all of your strategies, choosing what's right, making decisions, helping you see when you get out of alignment, right? Like if I didn't know all
Mm-hmm.
these things, if I wasn't thinking about all these things and documenting as many of these things as I could, it'd be really hard to see. I'd have to get lucky, or I'd have to be super focused all the time. I don't know about you, but I'm not super focused all the time. Kylene, are you super focused all the time?
Absolutely not.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up here. I want to get practical. I want to leave people with some kind of, okay, great. Sounds awesome, Aaron and Kylene. But you told me that, I was one of those people that didn't know where to start, right? So we gave you some of the starting things, but I know that can still feel a little bit vague. The reality is we need to make it real, right? We need to get into the practicality of it here. And your plan is not something that you file away. It is something that you use. For me, my business plan, when I open up my Chrome browser, it's one of the tabs that opens automatically every day. Right? And so we need to be in it as often as we can, but we also need to be very intentional about going back to it, right? And so it could be, for me, it's daily, but it could be weekly, it could be monthly, could be quarterly, right? Wherever you're at and whatever stage your business is, if things are flowing smoothly, then yeah, you can just chug along and you have something new come up. Oh, I'm going to just drop that in there. I don't need to review it each time. But we need to start bringing this to life. So here's a couple of things that I would suggest, Kylene. If you have questions, I think that would be the best way to tackle this. If something doesn't seem completely clear to you here, go ahead and ask. All right. Does that sound like a good plan?
Perfect.
Okay. I want you to start. I would encourage you to start. You don't have to, but I would encourage you highly to start with the vision page. Just 10 minutes of your time and sit down with a blank sheet of paper and write down these 3 things. What do I want my day-to-day business life to look like? As specific as you can get it in just a couple minutes. The next thing to write on that page is, who am I serving? Like, not anybody with money in their wallet, but that specific type of person. What makes them unique? What makes them light you up? And why do you believe that you can serve them? And then finally, kind of summarize that vision page with just what does light you up, right? What do you lose all track of time doing? What are you passionate about? Because you might find that what you're passionate about, what lights you up, and what you're actually doing every day are miles and miles apart. And that doesn't mean you have to blow up your business, but it does mean that you maybe need to start making some shifts so those 2 things come together. Because if you're not lit up every day being a small business owner, if you're not excited about it, I don't mean to be rude. I think you can figure it out, like if you have to, but boy, that's a hard way to live. Right? Just go get a job. I mean, I don't want to say that to anybody, because I do believe that every single person has the ability to be a successful small business owner. But if it doesn't light you up, oof, that's a hard way to live. And I don't want anybody to live like that, Kylene. So, so that's the first thing. Start with that vision page. Any questions about that?
Nope. It's really important things there.
Okay. All right. The next practical step that I want you to take, that I would encourage you to take, I have to remember to get away from that. Here's the hard part for me, Kylene. I totally see it. And I'm just like, here it is. Here's the solution, right? We were talking this morning about a challenge that you were having. I'm like, I've given you a solution. I don't know what else to tell you. Right?
Yep.
But I know that's not the way that it works. And so I apologize to you and everybody else. Here's the next thing you could do that is very practical for you. Take that vision page and just have it handy, and then think about patterns. What keeps showing up, right? Like I was talking to one of our mastermind members yesterday. What's today? Saturday? Yeah. So yesterday. And I'm like, if you didn't have to have X, Y, and Z, and none of the other things mattered, what keeps showing up? What do you just keep getting poked and prodded to do that you just you think about it way more than you probably could, right? And look for those patterns. Start writing those things down. You don't have to act on them yet at this point. Just write them down, right? Is it maybe more time freedom? Do you need to feel like you're making more impact, right? That's what it was for me. I had customers. I just didn't feel like I was making any impact. And so I had to make a change. Or is there a specific, like I'm constantly getting bombarded in my brain about building this kind of time management, intuition, law of attraction, inner CEO, divine connection kind of thing. It like every day I have a different little spark that shows up. And so I just keep writing it down, a little pattern. I don't have to do anything about it now. But these are your themes, right? And so if you have that ability and that place to start keeping your patterns, then you can kind of build around that. All right. Any questions about that one, Kylene?
No, I think it's great just having that spot where you can release those ideas so more can come.
Yep. All right. Next thing is going back to our vision page, this kind of idea of what you want your day to look like, who are you serving, what lights you up. Remember that that's your filter. Right? And when I said I felt like I was off track, I needed a filter to tell me that I was off track. And so by having that filter, having that vision, I was able to then look at the things that were showing up that I was saying yes to and going, hold on a second. Does this actually move me closer to that vision? And in certain circumstances, the answer was no. And a lot of those things were really difficult for me to let go of. You know this, Kylene, right? Letting go of Skills USA, for example, that I still question my decision there. But the reality is I wasn't going to make enough impact there to be able to really help people, right? Like without somebody else doing it and supporting it and the financial aspect of it, it was going to keep taking me in the wrong direction, right? And so I think what this does, understanding it's a filter, it gives you confidence to say, that's an awesome opportunity. It's not for me.
Yeah.
Right. So any questions about that, Kylene?
No, it just made me think of the quote that you would say, no to the good, yes to the great, or something.
Yeah, I think that's a Jim Rome quote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say no to the good so you can say yes to the great, I think is what it is. Yeah, that's a good one, Kylene. All right. And then the last kind of practical thing that I might suggest in this art of business planning thing is share this with somebody you trust, like your significant other, your mastermind group, your insert your business bestie, whatever that is, right? Because we have it inside of us. We're really passionate about it until it comes out and it gets out into the universe. You don't know what's going to happen. Right. So if you're really serious about your business, you got to share it with somebody else. And so start with somebody that you trust, right? Like I'm not saying go to a yes person. I would really honestly want you to talk to somebody that you trust that would tell you no lovingly. Right. But say it out loud. And when you start saying it out loud, it'll help you own it. And then it'll make it that much easier to, okay, I told Kylene about it. I think I can tell my buddy about that, right? I can tell Terry about it. Oh, Terry didn't fall off his chair laughing. Okay, interesting, right? Like now I can tell, oh, I could do a live video about it. What? Whoa, wild, So like these are the steps that we got to take. All right. So any questions about that, Kylene?
No, I was just gonna say, the more you talk about it out loud, the more comfortable you are, and the more you truly are believing what you see, which helps it come together.
All right. All right. So, Kylene, at this point, I'm going to make a little bit of a kind of a pitch here, but not really. Just me
Okay.
sharing what it is that we're
Yeah.
trying to do with our success group. And so I'm going to preface this with this is my belief. This is my suggestion. This is not a prescription. If you are really serious about your business, I know for a fact that I can help you get this process rolling. And so, first and foremost, I cannot stress enough about that reason thing at the beginning, how
Yeah.
important it is to have at least some clarity about your strengths, your values, and your passions, and really how those relate and interact with your business. And in fact, I believe that this is so crucial that I'm willing to give of my time freely, no charge. I do an assessment and strategy call to help people do it because that's my calling. I truly believe that that's my calling. I'm so passionate about it. I believe God put me on this earth to help people fall deeper in love with what they get to do each day. It's crazy to me to be able to say that, Kylene, and I just love every second of being able to say that. I spent so many years of my life not knowing that, and so
Mm-hmm.
it almost makes me emotional thinking about it. But
Yeah.
so I'm going to go into a little bit more at the end to give you kind of some steps that you can take to master that. Right. So kind of give people a little call to action here.
Okay. So remember, you do not need a perfect plan, but you do need a working one, something that actually you can refer to that's guiding you. So you have to get your strengths. You got to get ready so you can understand where your momentum can go, your drive,
Yep.
and then you have your map. You know where you're going, so you have that foundation in place.
Yep.
And then your plan is like your permission to stop guessing and then start choosing what's right for you. And then over time, that plan helps you build that business that you love, you want. It's intentional, it's on purpose, you're clear about what you're doing. All of those good things all kind of come together.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, we're here and this is my job. This is my part of our success group. So I'm going to use the I here, even though Kylene supports all this fully and part of this. But I want to help you build this step by step, right? So the first step is going to be and I'm just going to put it in the chat here and I'll put it on the screen. But the first step is to go to this link right here. And where did you go? There you are. All right. So it's oursuccessgroup.pro.viasurvey.org. All right. So go there. This is a science-backed assessment that will help you figure out your character strengths, right? And this is really actually going to help you figure out what will and will not work for you in your business. All right. So that's step number one. Once you've done that, then I mentioned this assessment that I do and strategy call. So armed with those strengths, you go fill out a little form here at osg.link/SVP, and I'll put that on screen as well. And we're going to then meet for 30 minutes. Just quick, no strings, no stress. I want to talk to you about your strengths, values, and passions and what those mean for your business. I have a whole system that I've built that has just been truly fulfilling for me. And I know I've changed some people's lives with it, where we look at, okay, what if you change this? What if you tweak that? Here's where you might be out of alignment. And so you can still do the same thing that you're doing, but just come at it from a different angle and you might find more success. And the reality is those people have found more success. And I even followed the assessment up with full recap and kind of action items that you could be taking. And we just do that no charge because, again, God put me on this earth to do that. I can't bring myself to charge for that. That's my God-given gift. And so that's step two. Step three, coming up, it's going to be on August 5th and 6th. There is a 2-part masterclass that I am doing called How to Write a Business Plan You Will Actually Use. It's Business by Design is kind of the more formal name of it, but whatever name you need for it, it's a business planning class. All right. And so this masterclass here, if you go to oursuccessgroup.com/business plan, it normally sells, the masterclass part normally sells for $27. But as an SBS listener, you're going to get it for free. Again, we want people to fall deeper in love with their business. So we want to take any barriers out of the way. if you've given your time to us here today, use the code SBS, just all caps, and you'll get the masterclass for free. You can also use that same code, and because there is a workshop where you get to come in and work with me directly, and we'll walk through your business plan. So we're going to talk about the why. We're going to get your reason together in the first part of the masterclass. In the second part of the masterclass, we're going to go more depth into those 5 things and actually show you the questions, the formats, the tools, the ways to figure those things out a little bit deeper. And then the third, so we got the why, and then the how is the 5 things. But then you got to have the what. We've got to actually go, well, what do I put in my business plan? And that's where the workshop shows up. And so that workshop and masterclass together is normally $77. But as an SBS listener, you use that code SBS once again, and you get it for only $30. Okay. So we want you to put a little skin in the game, but we don't want this to be a big, huge barrier. And I want you to have a business plan. So even if you can't attend the masterclasses live, by the way, folks, they're recorded so that you'll have access to them for 90 days afterwards. So, pretty 3 simple steps, right, Kylie?
Yeah, I mean, it's an investment in you and your business. I mean, if you can invest some time and have these simplified steps and having in a working document, it's really going to change your life and your business moving forward.
Absolutely.
It's pretty exciting.
All right. Well, Kylene, you want to kind of close us out here, let people know if they found some value in the show, what they can do?
Yeah, please like and share this episode with any other business owners or anyone you think would find some value. Also, sign up for the masterclass with us, or with Aaron, I should say. And then leave a comment with one goal that you're going to commit to. And then don't forget to join us in the Facebook group, the Entrepreneur Success Hub. If you're not already there, we'd love to continue the conversation there. We have a cool gratitude challenge going on right now that Becky put together, which is pretty amazing. So join us over there.
Love it. Yep. Come join us over there. In fact, speaking of that, I think I'm going to close out today with a little bit more information about the group, and we will see you over there in the Entrepreneur Success Hub. All right. Sound good, Kylie?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, business owners, have you lost some of that spark in your business? Or maybe you love what you get to do and you want to share that joy with others. Either way, the Entrepreneur Success Hub is the community you've been looking for. In this group, we believe that every question is worth asking and your voice matters. Whether you're facing challenges or ready to celebrate successes, we've got a space for you to learn, grow, and connect with like-minded entrepreneurs. Join us for weekly video shows like the Rising Tide Talks and Small Business Saturdays. Also, get the latest announcements for our webinars and other educational content, all designed to help you fall in love with your business all over again. Plus, in the group, we've got fun challenges like our Gratitude Challenge and other resources to keep you inspired and focused on what matters most. Plus, you'll be part of a growing community of supportive business owners who understand what you're going through. Get into the group, be engaged. This is your space to ask questions, share experiences, and rediscover the joy of entrepreneurship. Head to osg.link/group and join the Entrepreneur Success Hub today. Together, we'll fall in love with our business and achieve our goals.